Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our matchup between London Esports and Fierce Esports in the EU MDL Relegation's lower bracket. Fierce, they took the first map pretty handily on Overpass, but met London Esports on Dust 2 and failed to close out the series. It was London to overcome them in what was a close map overall. But now we move on to Nuke. A map that has been played by both of these lineups in the past. I know that when this Fierce roster was under a different banner, this was certainly a comfort map for them. You are absolutely right. I do need to change the map score. So I thank you for at least telling me. So letting me have a go about that without noticing at all. But we're going straight into the pistol. London will start on the CT side, the more favorite of the two. Mezzi being gifted some opportunities at a couple of frags, but just not landing the headshots just yet. Fraser will deliver, however. Coming in on that rotation, Mezzi finally finds a frag, and Fierce already 2 men down, and a lot of damage done as well to Artist. They will instead plant over towards an A bomb site. The man advantage certainly still held here by London. Astro did quite a lot of work from outside, just keep them at bay on that rotation. They can't use main as an approach. Artist is well dropped. They find all 3 players in the end from Fierce. London will take the pistol.
Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win.
London start off the 3rd map with the victory on that CT side. That will certainly help them significantly moving forward. You need to be able to build up that economy on that portion of the map primarily. Here's if they'd taken the pistol. I think that is one of the things about maps like Nuke, that because they do lean themselves towards one side, that is usually a way in for the T side to start accumulating rounds and bridge that gap. Bridge the inherent advantage of the superior angles that you can hold on that CT side. London will deny them that. Still need to be careful about the pistols, however. They're trying to take a fight at long range, holding with the AUG from a distance. Astro from there with the Deagle, poking and prodding, doing a little bit of damage, but still not ultimately going to find a kill. Finally had an opportunity. Messi as well will come on through. Another opportunity for Mezzi to have some additional impact, but instead holding things in, making sure that Fierce can't successfully rotate. There's Fry. Drop to the floor. The bomb as well in that main position that they will have the information of. Razor will secure the package. And Artist and Eccles really going to meet their deaths soon enough. Artist does get 1 kill in response, but Link is there to pick up the pieces. Eccles actually overpowers him as well. Eagle cycled over. He can maybe find an additional kill to Mezzi, but positioning in an angle that Eccles does not expect. It will be a 2nd round for London. No more damage done for Fierce. Only the 2 players found in the round. But now the rifles come out for Fierce. AKs across the board. They have quite a lot of utility off the back of it as well. Breaking the glass initially up top, above that A bomb site, so that they could potentially line up nades for a late round execution. But we will see instead the standard utility thrown by the T side to feign aggression towards the lower site. Even though Fierce do not commit any members down, it means that London have to rotate an additional player to that underpass. Into a secret. Wrong callouts. Think I'm still on Overpass. Fierce for now, tagged up from earlier duels. There isn't a whole lot of counter utility really available for London. They do have a couple of Molotovs still in hand, but they can't delay with these smokes any longer. They've deployed all of them so far. Fierce still having to hold relatively passive, however. Even with a decent amount of ground established towards secret, there will be the opening. Eccles finds the first frag, but Messi is doing a whole lot of damage in towards main. He's getting chased down in the end by Stanley. There's the response from Fraser. Equalizes things. It's even pushed further when Link springs in from the bomb site. Fierce have to commit A at this point. They've locked themselves out of the B site. Right. Will try his best. But ultimately only the one kill, and London once again finding an early advantage and being able to push that further. They certainly felt like they trapped Fierce into that play. It only really established control of lobby and outside, and with the majority of their presence being set up outside by the time that the clock began to wind down, I feel like they had a whole lot of options remaining. That is a terrible spam, but I'll allow it. London also following suit, allowing players down towards the lower bomb site, but that's because they sprung the trap. There were two players already waiting for Fierce to make progress towards that B bomb site. And having the superior weaponry, they'll make this a round that Fierce won't be able to contest too heavily. Eccles with the CZ in hand, generally do a little bit more damage, which it would favor Fierce to do so. They've been able to take a couple of weapons away and keep London's economy fairly low, keeping 2 and 3 players alive respectively in these gun rounds. Doesn't seem like Eccles will have too much of an opportunity. Adam's going to be jingling the triangle in a moment. Eccles will get out. Fraser will spring through. And that's the round as shown. Alright, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that one, Whisk. You're towing a line, my friend. You're towing a line. 4-0 established here for London Esports. But a 5th could be on the cards. Fierce will once again go for a fast play towards outside, but this time they don't use the smokes. This time they want to take these straight up fights, but the shadow will give them away. Adam, a very timely Molotov, and Messi has gone unchecked. He gets the first kill, the second as well, playing with the smokes, using it as coverage, and Fierce could find no response. Reza as well finding damage onto Artis. This is looking worse and worse as time goes on. At least Fry answers back with a frag, but at what cost? Down to 5 HP. I thought Nuke might have been a breath of fresh air, but now a breath of fresh air is all that's needed to take down Artis and Fry. And Fierce. So now a couple of gun rounds that have been negated by that outside pressure that London are applying. Molotov deployed towards heaven as well. 30 seconds remain now. More Fierce. Still to make any real progress towards either of these bomb sites. I think may just be a call to save based on the amount of HP available. There's only a 1-player discrepancy between these two teams, but it will have such a huge impact in these rounds. Crate is waiting and waiting for the sound cues to come through. Bomb will get planted here for Fear, so at least that cash injection is secured here for that T side. But Fry, even with limited amounts of health, he's able to have impact. Takes down Adam. They can't rely on straight up aim duels for these fights. With Messi spamming and spamming away, it's going to get as hard as he'll get taken down in the end as he takes down Crate. London are running out of time. They'll need to start pushing through, even with that Molotov there. And actually, Astra blindsides them. I thought for sure Fierce might have been out of the round, but they make it work. A couple of swift headshots delivered by both Fry and Artis, respectively. It's just enough, and Astra even finishes off the round. That was looking extremely dicey for Fierce, but they still salvage it back. And you're rightly pointing it out in the chat. Fraser, if he hadn't maybe hunted, could have kept that map control for the London side, as he was really the only player that prevented them from making those long rotations in towards heaven. London will still take an aggressive stance in this round. Not outside this time. It's instead Link to find that opening pick for that CT side. Oh, they're butting heads in that smoke. Adam, he tries to spring through. Fraser, nowhere to be seen as Mezzi tried to take fight after fight. He's at least dropped the bomb on the red crate, making it incredibly awkward for Fry to be able to recover it. But because they only have 3 players on the defense, he'll value the position instead of holding onto that bomb. And now they'll progress their way down secret. Fraser's really the man to watch here, as they keep going on through. He'll be the only line of defense, really. He'll call for the rotations already. He takes the first fantastic shot on towards Artist. There's still 2 more players to find, and they're encroaching swiftly. I don't think he realizes how close this player is, and Fry will blindside him. Take him out as he sprung through the vent, but great. That Molotov is going to flush Fry out. He commits to the plan and gets naded down as well. Now Stanley playing up close, but he's completely caught them off guard as he goes for the spray. He just cannot connect on the first headshot. That would have been crucial to find both of those players. But London deal with it. They get up to 5 and Fierce. They'll be counting their lucky stars that the economy was changing the way it was, because that was one of the things that could really shut you out of a game like this. Winning one round and instantly losing the next, especially when it gets close and down to just such low numbers in the clutch. They would have been completely shut out economically, but instead, with that change, being a part of Counter-Strike now, allow them to buy into things. Mezzi, though, he's putting a shutdown and locking in the outside position. One by one, they'll fall. They eventually deal with Mezzi, but not before the damage is done. Now just Eccles and Astro. Good response on towards Link. Doing so in a way that allowed him to play with high HP, but Eccles is now the sole defensive presence here for Fierce. Take down Cray, looking for a bit of information, but this is certainly doable. They're in positions that aren't really too indicative of trade potential. Of course, the bomb dropped outside, so they know Eccles has to traverse that part of the map to recover it. They'll continue moving forward. 35 seconds is all that remains. The timing here between him and Fraser will be critical. Fraser's stuck between 2 angles. Eccles just waiting ever so patiently, hoping that still positioned in towards Secret. Adam to spot the shadow that makes things easier for him in the duel. And Eccles never really stood a chance in that affair. 6-1, a pause called by Fierce. This is a round where they could potentially buy up, but they'd have to do so by not investing in utility. And of course, is not likely a part of the strat book or the Fierce lineup, of course. Amy having some words. Maybe trying to influence how Fierce approach this round. We will see the half buy come out by that T side. This is a chance as well for London to start accumulating some additional cash, which they've really struggled with so far on this CT side. Although they've won a significant portion of these rounds, it's always been at 2 or just the 1 player remaining. It means that they're hurting constantly. Get a reasonable amount of reserve cash available. Fierce will deploy smokes towards that outside position. They will cross with that coverage. And only Adam on the lower site to try and prevent Fierce that ground. Given the first opportunity, spots out Astro, doesn't want to get overwhelmed, waiting instead for the rotations from the London players. Cray is here to reinforce the site. Especially with these CZs, they'll cross their screens faster than they may anticipate. Eccles takes down Mezzi on the flank, who tried to wrap through towards Secret. In towards that B bomb site, but they may actually consider going back up to A. They open the door and Adam is lying in wait. Eccles is the only player remaining, and once again, Fierce do damage, but it's not quite enough to make the round all that competitive, at least in that affair. They'll keep the money at least somewhat modest here for the CT side once again. At any moment, if Fierce are able to get themselves a clean round and be able to replicate that forward, they'd be able to get into a position where they'll have an easier time approaching these rounds. They'll do so when London have minimal amounts of weaponry and utility, but they just run the door. And the pre-nades are perfect from the side of London. What could have been a questionable call is they just get completely mowed down by London Esports. Fry with it all to do. He finds one duel, but he's spammed down in the end by Fraser. And they went into that with a full buy. They had all the utility, but that's the play that they decide to make. And London were prepared. Same nades deployed by London once again, just in case the same strat was called by Fierce. It will be the push instead towards outside. The nade actually not really hitting anything there for London, but a whole lot of damage done on the cross. Adam even finding the headshot on towards Eccles. It was a very wild and violent spray, but somehow he connects. They have Cray on the lower bomb site. London won't be too interested in retaking that portion of the map just yet. Mezzi will find the kill on towards Artist. The weapon will be cycled over, but Mezzi is just having a field day. He's been finding pick after pick and repositioning. He's just going to line up the last two as well. I think the last time I casted London Esports, Mezzi had a pretty stellar performance outside. He was pretty unrelenting in how aggressive he got. This is really Mezzi's domain, it seems. A 9-1 scoreline so far. Sure, this map is CT sided, but Fierce will be hoping to get more rounds than this. They won't want to rely so heavily on their pistol CT side setup to get them some rounds. London are really locking things down here on the third map. By and large, especially towards the ramp and a bomb site, Fierce have been, or London have been playing, sorry, pretty isolated in this endeavor because there's been no outside presence shown just yet. London are still doubling up in that ramp position, and I'll see the rotation coming from Crate. That's primarily what these are supposed to do. They're supposed to force a player into that lower site, because if there's no nades thrown outside, they will never rotate a player over. There's the weakness exploited. Fierce find a crack in the defenses of London. They make their way out A, and they'll hold a man advantage in the post plant. Of course, there's money accumulated now for London, so they will commit to this no matter what. The one-man discrepancy could certainly be clawed back, but that Molotov doesn't bloom. Astro, even with that utility falling into the wind, you'll find a kill, and London will now be forced back. The 3 versus 4 certainly more doable, but now with only 2 players remaining, they instead value their weaponry, and even that will go astray. Mezzi dropped by Astro and Cray. All that remains. Of course, London will still be able to manage a buy in the next round. Fierce have to get very far away from that bomb to make sure that they secured proper weaponry as well. The critical thing for Fierce will be to chain these rounds. London have already secured a decent scoreline. 9-6 is respectable on the CT side of Nuke, but being up this high in the game, or having this lead so early in the game, very, very poor phrasing by me. They'd feel a bit cheated if they suddenly allowed Fierce back into contention. 9-6 is certainly doable for Fierce. If they get themselves up to maybe an 11-4 or 12-3, suddenly that becomes a much more difficult affair. Pause rescinded. Small motivational speech given, I'm sure. Fierce look to answer with a string of rounds in their own right. Set themselves up for a default. The smokes as well will be lined up towards outside, as London have been showing a bit of a tendency for those deep grenades, for those smokes as well. And this is certainly a play in Adam to show a bit of a handover of control in lobby. A bit of aggression, but there were two players inside of Fierce to make sure that wasn't the case. We get the progression in towards A, and Adam gets the first link as well. A back and forth affair between both these teams. Trades galore. These players are tagged down so low. It's just Astro, 3 HP, and Adam still sticking at the far vent. Eventually he's dealt with, but Astro cannot line up the subsequent shot. And London secure double digits. Fierce's T side has been pretty lackluster. They've attempted a few different approaches, and London just seemed to be able to shut them down in a way that doesn't seem replicatable in any sense. They've had some pretty standoffish plays by the individuals here on the defense, but they've made it work. Stanley this time will punish Mezzi for getting a little bit too curious outside. And those are the openings that Fierce need to be able to exploit. As they get an advantage, it's stripped from their hands. Artist will eventually deal with Fraser at a distance, but again, it's this HP exchange that's called into question. Adam and Cray are what remain here for London Esports. Fierce maybe to be able to convert this one. Made it work with low HP before. And Eccles makes it just a 1 versus 4, but Cray almost converting on the spray transfer. It's Eccles to deny him the highlight reel. And a third accumulated for Fierce. The money is beginning to dwindle on this T side, but as we approach these last couple of rounds, it should still be enough for a buy by this T side. As on the side of London, they were hurting for the majority of this game. They'd gotten a string of rounds where they had built up an economy, but once again into an affair where Fierce, because they've gone a couple now in a row, they have to save and only buy up a couple or a series of pistols. Of course, these deagles can still be dangerous. Link will get the information that these players are moving in towards secret. Link may actually find the timing here. This is dangerous. Astro, oh no, that's a weapon given over to the side of London. Now Fierce will begin to question their behind. They'll begin to try and hunt this player down, and Link delivers 3 kills in the round, 2 off of the recovered weapon, and that's one of the things that you can't have happen if you're Fierce. It's now Fry and Eccles, and although they have superior weaponry, Fry is somewhat surrounded. Mezzi, the first to fall. Fraser will fall as well, but Cray eventually delivers the finishing blow. That's the bomb dropped. Eccles needs to be on the recovery. And Cray has a rifle to work with, a Molotov as well. They could even play for time in this instance. Cray won't want to be getting out the Molotov just yet. There it is. It's deployed. Eccles surely shut out of this round. He will Molotov in response. Flush Cray out. The flash will come through, but Cray finds the kill. in the end, even through the fire and flames. And London absolutely steal that round away. And they'll have to be thanking Link for that one. Just when you think it's an easy accumulator round for Fierce. Just when they might have been able to get to a 4th, maybe even get a 5th off of the poor buy that would have come through from London. Not as many grenades as they would have liked from that CT side. It's instead an 11th picked up. And that is a round that could certainly throw you off the deep end. Make your blood boil. Especially in an important match like this. Fierce will take outside control this time, not using the wall of smokes. Adam will try his best to answer with a kill. Fierce, a lot better in this round. Not quite telegraphing the play, but Fraser answers back with 2 kills of his own. Softened up opponents makes things easy for him, and he eventually gets the 3rd as well on towards Artis. Eccles and Fry will again be in a position where the odds are stacked against them. The bomb dropped in the gaze of London. And Fraser, far gone unchallenged. He's on for the ace. He may just deliver, and there it is from Fraser. The first few were tagged up, but those 2 kills important in securing the round for London. That's an ace for him as we go to the second half. London Esports with a very significant lead. Sure, this map is CT-sided, but Fierce, they're putting a lot of faith in their pistol round now. For at least one of these miracle rounds to come through, because should London pick that up, that's likely the nail in the coffin. And who would have thought this is how this game would go? London in a very favorable position. After Fierce seemingly dominated them on Overpass. 16-6, the scoreline on that map. And since then, we had a close battle on Dust 2. It's shaping up to be, or what could be, a one-sided affair for London. We will delay no longer. We will finally get into the second half of map number 3. Fierce, with it all to do, really. They need a standout performance from somebody. Or it may just be a team effort to get themselves this pistol, because it's the first piece of the puzzle for this retake, and London won't give them time to think. A fast play towards the A bomb site. Eccles gets the first, as he's the only player that can really contest these battles. Fry trying his best to support, even finds one through the smoke. Stanley pushing through. It's a team contribution, and Fierce do secure the pistol. A necessity for them to be able to fight back that is extremely big. You can begin to start thinking about accumulating more and more of these rounds. London won't invest a dime into this one. Just Glocks in hand. No armor available. No utility either. And that will play its hand heavy in towards these SMGs. Astro and Stanley, if they're given the opportunity, will absolutely shred their opponents. So far, London not really grouping themselves up as you often see in a round like this. Instead, Playing fairly default, maybe getting an idea of how Fierce are approaching this CT side setup. That can't be information that they can garner and use at a later stage of this game. They'll find out that Astra is playing in towards main. Now they'll group themselves up in attempts to overwhelm Arden. Still have a field day at range of the M4, but now begins to fall back, realizing that this is a bit of a sticky situation. Eventually rush down. That's an M4 into the hands of Mezzi, but low on ammo. It's going to be hard to make this work. He misses the initial shots, and that's the round surely secured by Fierce. And the M4 off the back of it as well. They actually... Yeah, okay. I'm going to say... Stanley had an MP9. He wasn't really all that interested in recovering the M4, but that's because Astro picking it up instead. London, we'll have to see how prepared they are on their T side. They seemed to have things together on CT. It's much more difficult from this part of the map. Especially the Fierce have their protocols in check as well on the defense. Standard outside smokes deployed. Should pull the rotation towards that lower bomb site here from Fierce. The Molotov a little bit too late, I think, to create a gap there for Fierce. They can potentially get some information as to how many London players cross. Ultimately, wasted utility. Mezzi, though, pushing forward in towards the round. The smoke hitting him will actually give up some information here to the port side, but the entries galore from London. It's a synchronized hit. Adam as well found the player as he was lurking towards that A site. Fierce. It did significant damage, but couldn't find respective kills, and this is going to be a save call instantly by these remaining players. Far too many angles to clear, not enough ground established already on the retake. And although it will be a tough bullet to bite down on, Fierce will have to be... or we'll have to allow London their 13th. Doesn't mean that they're not going to go down without a few exit frags of their own. Adam, being that lurking player, was still trying to maybe catch them out. Eliminate those rifles as a factor. Stanley coming in for the first kill and towards Adam. Fires ball into Crate. And Astro chimes in a fantastic way. Of course, this wasn't a round that was all too contestable here from London. So Fierce will capitalize on that fact. I think I may have actually muted my mic for a little bit. So I'm extremely upset because I've missed out on a fantastic play from Eccles. My head's gone. I am not happy. It is indeed. What happens, happens, and that's unfortunately the way the cookie crumbles. Fierce will be patting Eccles on the back from what was a round prior. I'll make my comments now while the microphone is still active. And you could certainly see a world in which Fierce get themselves back into this game if they're delivering on an individual level. If they're channeling that sort of spiritual energy that Eccles had in that round, they could certainly bring things close, but London Esports are going to try and make a fast play in. Not quite as aggressive as we saw Fierce do on their respective T side. Not committing all players through, they'll give enough space for Adam to get in towards the slower site. And now the wrap on through towards ramp is ensuing from London. There's a player in their path, but he may beat a short demise as Artis had to do it all. And with this now being dialed in, Fierce need to make this retake work. They have a numerous amount of Molotovs that they can use to flush these players out into the open, but so difficult to set up those Molotovs in the first place. Stanley even taking a little bit of damage as well from utility. Astro look deployed to isolate the gunfight. Link won't be able to contribute too much, but Cray eliminates Astro, pushing the advantage further and further. Mezzi as well chiming in, and every single one of the Fierce Esports players falls in subsequent fashion. Now this is backs up against the wall all the way to overtime, if Fierce can even navigate to that point. Two AWPs will come out for both Astro and Artis, but Stanley's been shortchanged. Just the CZ for him, and London, they're trying to establish a finishing blow. They're trying to make a statement. They're fast on towards the A site. Astro, a response with the AWP, and Stanley still standing, but dropped in the end. Link and Cray finding those two picks, but they're pushing past the Molotov. This is the play here from Fierce. They catch them out on the timings. Mezzi can only get the one kill. Cray with the response, and it's into the one-on-one. It used to be old teammates, now on the other side of things. And this could be the killing blow. Cray could deliver. Astro as well, trying to keep Fierce in this best of three. But Cray, he surely has eliminated this angle as an avenue of attack. He may have realized what Astro's up to. Because if Astro were really committing to this, he's waited far too long. The smoke deployed on the bomb. Astro's still from up high. He's taking damage as well from the drop. He'll feign it, thinking he can bait out the defuse, but his barrel gives him away. Cray delivers. The clutch received, and London will continue on in the MDL relegations. That is Fierce out of the running. That was the lower bracket already.